Let's go straight to the point. I'm willing to bet that you, yes you, have $1 million business trapped in your head, but it's locked. It's locked behind fear, behind doubt, behind the belief that you're not ready or that you don't know how. You think it's out there somewhere hidden in a secret marketing tactic, a new product or a fancy funnel, but it's not. The real power comes from your story. See, your story isn't just something that happened to you, it's the curriculum that life gave you. It's the pain you went through, the lessons you learned, the obstacles that you overcame that is your secret weapon. And when you know how to share that with the world, you stop chasing opportunity and opportunity starts chasing you. So in this episode, I'm going to show you exactly how to turn your story, the pain, the wisdom, and the transformation into a business that's aligned, authentic, and wildly profitable. Hey guys, one of my mentors once told me that business is not something that you do to get rich, it's something you become to grow rich. And what he meant is that a business, when done properly, is actually a reflection of who you've become throughout the course of your life. And the business allows you to express that version of you at scale into the world. Now, this is really important to understand. The business is the vehicle that allows your soul to serve many, not just one. And every great business you know, Apple, Google, Tesla, it didn't start out as a company. It started as someone's lived experience, their challenges, their traumas, their natural gifts. And they turned it into something that we call a business. And most people really have no idea what a business is. They think that if you can just find some opportunity in the marketplace or you can master some sort of marketing strategy, then you can make some money. Therefore, you can get out of financial insecurity and enjoy your life. But that's not what a business is. What a business really is what I would call the rendering of your lived experience, which is your challenges, your growth, your breakthroughs, into something that's useful to the world. So a business, in other words, is you at scale. It is how you take your personal journey and what you've discovered and learned along the way and turn it into a service, a product, or a movement. And that's why I say business is a spiritual game. It's not a thing you do to make money. It's not an opportunity in the marketplace. It's not separate from your life or your purpose. It is you. And it's the physical structure that allows your purpose to breathe, to exist in form, to impact others, to create prosperity through alignment with who you are. So before we talk about how to create a business, we have to establish this foundation. Because once you understand that business isn't something outside of you that you have to figure out, that it's the organized expression of who you've become that you're letting out, then you can look at your life and it will actually define the business for you. Guys, this is what's so interesting. What type of business you should be building or how you should modify your current business to align with the success that you want has left clues in your life. You can look at every experience that you've had, no matter how challenging, and you can actually convert that experience into energy for creation. And so that's where we begin. Because when you see business this way, you stop looking for your next idea and you start living knowing that the idea is you. And that is the first step that you need to take. Most people try to build a business around what they do, but real success is when you build around who you've become. So look at my story, right? I've shared it on so many other episodes. I grew up in an environment where there was some emotional and psychological dysfunction. From a very early age, I felt like there was something wrong with me and that I was never enough. I worked really hard to compensate for that personal insecurity. I got good at school. I got good at my career. I started being an entrepreneur in order to chase success so I could justify loving myself. And I didn't really have that many successes and I burned out at 33 years old, right? I had a drug addiction, alcohol addiction, pornography addiction. And it was really my sex addiction that helped me evolve in terms of my emotional and spiritual resiliency because that specific addiction required me to start really watching my mind in order to gain recovery, right? Because it was easy to stop going to a bar. It was a little easier to stop calling my drug dealer, but everywhere I went, there I was. So pornography addiction and sex addiction was the real challenge. I had to really notice my mind when I started moving into my addiction. And that's what I got from recovery. And in that process, I started solving my own personal suffering. And as I saw that I was able to change, I saw other people still struggling, not necessarily in addiction, but in their lives. And I wanted to help them. My wife tells the story of how I was coming back from a trip I got an Uber from Orlando International Airport back to the condo where we were living, and she was downstairs walking my dog, and I got out of the car, and the Uber driver came running out from the other side crying and gave me a big hug because I had coached him through some blocks that he had that were preventing him from really being present for and loving his children. All I wanted to do was eliminate my own suffering, help other people eliminate theirs. So the clues were in my life. My life had intelligently designed me into the business that I have today. But most people are living unconsciously, just looking for a job and a way to pay the bills and hopefully not run out of money, right? But that's a scarcity mindset that's not in alignment with the true intelligence of how life has architected your journey and who you're meant to become. Every great person, every successful person has followed this path. Steve Jobs, right? Abandoned as a child. And then he gets adopted to a family where he's growing up in a Silicon Valley garage around other engineers. And so he got exposure to technology, but he also loved calligraphy and art. And so he started thinking about creating artful technology. And then just like he got abandoned by his parents, he gets abandoned by Apple, right? They fire him from his first company. He goes to this midlife crisis, very similar to mine in the sense that I had a breakdown and got into recovery. He goes to India, starts exploring with LSD, spirituality, and he comes back with a new perspective, having healed a great part of himself, and he becomes someone who helps people creatively reorient their relationship with technology and reality itself. There's an intelligent design to the business of Apple. Even if you look at not businesses, but movements, the story of the woman who founded Mothers Against Drunk Driving, her life was personally impacted by the fact that her daughter was killed by a drunk driver. Part of the traumatic experience of her life. She transformed that and leveraged that into an organization that's likely helped save thousands, if not millions of lives. So the first step here is to look at your own story. What's the pain that you went through that taught you something the world desperately needs to know? Identify your story. Every single person has one. It doesn't matter where you are in your life right now or how hard things have been. Every single person has what I would call a spiritual vision, a lived experience that can be translated into you at scale. In other words, a business. So look at your personal story and identify what is it that you've learned. Because other people want to learn that too, and they'll pay you for that knowledge. You know, I overcame my own suffering. Steve Jobs integrated art with technology. Maybe you've overcome or learned about anxiety or how to build confidence or finding your purpose or healing your gut or healing relationships. It doesn't matter whatever it is, but you've had a curriculum in your life. You know, life hasn't been hurting you. Life has been teaching you. A really powerful question is not why is this happening to me, but what am I learning from this? And when you clearly identify what the theme of this transformation has been, you unlock the foundation of your brand, your content, your offers. Because people don't buy information. They buy transformation and they buy who you've been. So you want to stop and take a look at who you've become. Because who you've become is what people want to buy. Not your product or your service. That's where business begins. It's not in your ideas. Those are great, but it's really in your evolution. And so it's important to understand too that you're further along than most people at something, even if you're still in the shit of it all, right? It might be healing your body. Is it done? No, but you've probably gone through the process of figuring out a lot of things that don't work and a handful of things that do. Well, there's a lot of people who are at, stage one where you were way back then who would like to accelerate their journey forward. You've learned some things along the way. This is your journey. This is what you can help others with. Maybe you figured out how to market online. Like, you grew up in the online world, right? You have a knack for understanding how to capture and nurture attention. Maybe in your childhood, there was a theme around attention, not getting enough attention. And so you learned how to hijack attention. Cool. Then that's your journey, the journey of gaining attention. And you can translate it into a business. Maybe like me, you've overcome some limiting beliefs, or you figured out how to have a deeper relationship with God, or you've taken a business from start to grow to scale. You've done the hard things. You've been in the valleys. You've reached the peaks. You've run the course, and you've learned who you need to be in the process. Cool. There's a before, there's an after, and you don't have to have figured out the after perfectly. Look, I still have plenty of bad days, where I'm struggling with my mindset, or I'm feeling anxious, or I'm feeling depressed. But I know how to handle it a lot better than I used to, and it happens a lot less frequently. I still have challenges in my business, right? But I can still help people while I'm still going through my journey and becoming a master of this transformation. So that's what this is about. This is step one. Step two, turn your story into a system. And by a system, what I mean here is a framework. So once you understand your story and your vision, the next step is turning it into a structure that other people can use, because inspiration without a system fades, but a system turns into transformation and results again and again and again. And so I want you to think about your life as a movie with kind of chapters or stages or series, and each chapter holds a principle. If you look at the transformation that you've undergone, there's a certain set of principles or philosophies or actions that you've taken. And as you've strung those together and stacked them up, you've started to produce results. Well, that system is repeatable. It's a repeatable path for other people to follow. And so in my own process, when I was looking at my own mindset, I was like, okay, well, what was step one? Well, step one was I got clear on what I wanted in my life. Okay, cool. Step two was I started identifying all the problems. Step three was I realized that the problems were just thoughts. They were limiting beliefs. Step four was I realized beliefs are just decisions, and I started making some new decisions to transform my beliefs. Step five was I started noticing when life reinforced my new decisions to me, and that started to build momentum and build confidence. That's a framework. These are the steps. And so you have steps to your transformation. How do I know? Because you're here and you've overcome some level of where you started. And so you look at what the journey is. Right? Step one, I'm giving you a framework right here, right? In terms of how to build a story-based business. Step one is know that a business is really your lived experience. Step two is get clear on what your journey is. Step three, look at each piece and start building out a framework or a methodology. So this is your unique intellectual property. This is your proprietary methodology. So people will pay you for your process. And the clearer your process, the faster people can experience the same transformation and the more you can actually charge them. And so right now, your process might not be as refined as it will be 6 months from now, 1 year from now, 3 years from now, 5 years from now. Mine certainly wasn't. If you go back and go through some of my earlier courses and programs, they're certainly not as streamlined and advanced and as efficient as the courses that I have today. But that's okay too, because people still need your help and they'll be willing to pay you for it. So when your story becomes a structure, you create leverage, because now you have something that you can create and you can codify it, meaning you can put it into something like a digital course or a framework or a series of videos or a coaching program, and you can sell it. So anything that lets people walk the same path you already walked is something that they'd be willing to pay you for. Now I'm going to talk to you about the structures that I think are most efficient here in a moment, whether it's, one-on-one coaching or group coaching or a digital course or live event, how you deliver your framework. But just remember, every major brand or teacher in the world did this exact thing. They turned a personal realization into a repeatable result. That's what separates a story that inspires from one that actually transforms and that people will pay you for. Step three is we want to create an offer, right? You're clear on your lived experience and the value that other people are wanting to achieve, or the journey that they're on as well. You've created a framework for it. Now we want to create an offer so that you can distribute it out into the world. And so most people think monetization starts with a strategy, and it doesn't. It actually starts with clarity around the offer that you're going to put together. And so you want to build an offer framework where you take that transformation that you've already lived and you translate it into a process that someone can follow, and now you put it into a structure. That structure might be a 90-day program, right? Hey, in 90 days, I can help you, get over anxiety, heal your gut, build more muscle, get your finances in order, transform your mindset, where you meet once a week and you have a 60-minute call with someone where you're walking them through the steps of your proprietary framework. Week 1, we do this. Week 2, we do this. Week 3, we do this. Now you might go, but Dave, there's 13 weeks and 90 days. Do I need 13 parts of my framework? No, my first framework had 4 steps. And by the time we got to call number 5, it was really about, hey, how are you applying these 4 steps on a day-to-day basis now as you're living your life? And what was really cool is I was working with people to make sure they were implementing my 4-step process efficiently with a variety of things that were coming up. They had challenges and I had answers, and that started to expand my framework. And so a lot of people are concerned, like, my gosh, what am I going to do after week 4 or step 5? And the answer is, don't worry about it until you get there. And trust me, life will provide the next distinction in your framework. Your clients are going to help you build your framework to the next level. It could be a 90-day program. It could be one day that you spend with someone as an intensive. You spend 8 hours working them through something. It could be something over the course of a year. But again, I want you to think about taking them through a book, one chapter at a time. It's the framework that you've lived in your own life. Each call, each module could be a digital course. Each exercise that you take them through represents a piece of your framework. And you're guiding people to apply it to their own lives, their own businesses, their health, their relationship, whatever it is. So for example, if you help people become more financially abundant, the first step of the framework might be setting financial goals, right? Just like you did. And then the second step might be reviewing expenses and taking a look at financial leaks. Again, maybe that's the second thing that you did. And so every session becomes a mirror of your own journey, now structured for others. And this is what we teach inside of our community in our coaching programs. We don't focus a lot on physical products. We focus on expert-based businesses, knowledge-based services, coaches, consulting, service providers, SaaS companies, real estate, insurance, because that's my lived experience and that's where I'm able to help people. So when your offer helps others shorten their own path to transformation, money becomes the natural byproduct of that kind of alignment. You're creating value in the marketplace. In exchange for that value, you receive money, right? And by the way, if you've been loving what you've heard so far and you want to actually get support in implementing these strategies to start, grow, or scale your business without running online ads or burnout or hustle or selling your soul, we've got an amazing opportunity. There's a link in the show notes. We've opened up a few spots on my team's calendar. If you've already got a business or you're proactively looking to launch one now and you want to get some support, we'll take a look at where you are, where you want to be. We'll come up with a plan to help you close the gap. If we think we can help you do that, of course, we'll talk about how, but there's no commitment or obligation. Just you being serious about wanting to grow and scale yourself, your store, your mission, your business in the world today. Click on the link in the description or go to davidbusinessplan.com and you can find a time for us to get on the phone with you. It's a 1-hour call, go through a very short survey so you can tell us a little bit about yourself, and my team will walk you exactly through the process that we used to grow my business from zero to over $40 million in revenue, and they'll map out how you can apply the same frameworks to your business as well. Only a handful of spots, so if you're serious, go ahead and take a look at that right now. So step number 4, price and position your offer. Right? You're clear on your framework. You're clear on how you're going to deliver it. The next step is to position it in the marketplace. And this is where a lot of entrepreneurs get stuck because they're not just asking like, what should I charge? Right? What you're really asking is, will people pay for it? Or is it worth it? But so I want to really teach a powerful distinction here, which is what I call value-based pricing. So the price has nothing to do with the worth. What we're really looking to do is identify the value that someone would receive based on producing the outcome that you're going to help them produce, right? It's not about how much you get paid per hour. If I look at some of my private coaching programs, people work one-on-one with me for $150,000 a year. We do one call on a monthly basis. If you look at the hourly rate for that, some people would say that's insane. But for the type of person who would actually invest that amount of money, if I can help them move the needle just a little bit, it's worth a multiple of that $150,000 a year investment. And so what we're looking at right now is helping you identify the type of ideal client who would find the sort of value in what you have to offer where you could charge premium prices. And if you're just getting started in your business, or maybe you've been doing business for a while, but you've been improperly pricing your services, there actually is a magic number here. And it's between $3,000 and $8,000. So when I first started working with people, I had a $1,000 a month with a 6-month commitment mindset coaching program. I'd meet with somebody every week for 6 months, and we would work together, and it would cost them $6,000, right? So $6,000 for a 6-month program. Could be $6,000 for a 3-month program. It doesn't really matter. The magic of the $3,000 to $8,000 is that likely, wherever you are in your business right now, if you're just getting started or you're at the early stages of your business, if you can just get 2 or 3 clients a month at $3,000 to $8,000, that's probably a financial game changer for you, isn't it? When you're charging $5,000 for whatever it is you offer, you get 3 clients a month, that's $15,000 more a month. That's probably a game changer. Now, again, if you're at the growth or scale stage, it's a completely different pricing model. But there is this sweet spot between $3,000 and $8,000. And what this allows you to do is get just a few clients every month and hit your financial goals. And it also allows you to generate way less leads. Because if you're charging something like $500 to work with you, well, to make $5,000, you got to generate 10 clients. But if you're charging $5,000 to work with you, you just need 1 client. The other reason I like this magic number range of $3,000 to $8,000 for whatever it is that you offer is you get to work with a higher caliber client, someone who's somebody who's going to do the work with you. Again, whether you're a digital marketing agency charging $5,000 a month for Facebook advertising management, whether you're helping somebody over the course of 90 days organize their financial situation so that they can take advantage of tax benefits for $7,500, Right. The type of person who is going to say yes to you is going to find the value in the outcome and happily pay $3,000 to $8,000 to work with you. I mean, think about it. If you can help somebody get healthy, whether it's reduce inflammation, restore their gut, improve their mitochondria, lose some weight over the course of 90 days to 6 months, isn't that worth $3,000, $8,000? Of course it is. So this is the sweet spot. High enough for clients to take it seriously, but accessible enough for many people to be able to take advantage of it. It positions you as a professional, not a hobbyist, and it allows you to deliver real depth without burning out. You know, when I first started out, I was charging like $250 an hour, and there was no amount of time someone had to commit to working with me, and I ended up picking up 10 clients, 12 clients, 15 clients. I started to burn out because I had so many clients. I had to revamp my entire pricing structure, which frankly meant firing a handful of clients because they didn't want to pay my premium prices between $3,000 and $8,000, but that was okay because ultimately I was able to work with fewer people, make more money, and now have more time for my life and to grow my business. Now, the next step is to look at the structure of your business, right? This is step number 5. So in the beginning, you know, a lot of people talk about, well, just launch a digital course and you can sit back on a beach in Bora Bora and just watch as, you know, your Stripe account gives you notifications that people are paying you money. I never found that to be true, and I've never seen that actually work. I'm sure there's some unicorn stories out there. But what I recommend is that you start where a lot of people would say, it's not a good trade of time for your money, and that is working one-on-one with people. Here's the reason for this. When you work one-on-one with people, you've reduced the barrier to them saying yes, right? If you say, hey, I have a group coaching program, people say, I don't really want to do group coaching. You say, hey, I'm doing a live event. They say, I don't really have time to go to that event. I have a conflict on those dates. You have a digital course. They say, I don't really want to go through a digital course. I'm not really good at doing it on my own. I want some coaching. One-on-one coaching has the least objections to it. And as you're working hands-on with your first 5, 10, 15 clients at a premium price point, $3,000, $8,000, you're going to learn a lot. You're going to get better at what you do. Every session becomes data, not just for your client, but for you as a teacher. And then once you've mastered the art of transformation one-to-one, then you can expand to one-to-many. You start running a group program or a small workshop intensive. And then as you're now working with many people at once, which requires a different level of skills, but you'll be ready for it after you've worked with enough people one-on-one, as you're working in a group environment, one-to-many, then you can actually create a digital course or even a live workshop or an event. And each evolution allows you to impact more people without diluting your energy. But each evolution requires you to get a little bit better at what you're doing, which is why there's a logical progression here. And as you move up through these stages, you also get rewarded by your next level of income. You know, I now have an opportunity now where I might go speak at an event and sell from stage my digital course and walk away selling $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 in digital courses. But then each of those people have a conversation with someone on my sales team where I might make another $200,000 to $300,000 of people who move immediately from my digital course into my coaching programs. But it didn't start out that way, right? I started out charging $250, helping a 19-year-old son of a friend of mine overcome his social anxiety while he was in school. Then I worked my way up to charging $3,000, $8,000. And then I went from one-to-one to one-to-many, and then started doing some other things like digital courses and live events, right? Now, this is about marketing and sharing your story. Once you've clarified your vision, you've shaped your framework, you've built your offer, the next step is really simple. You got to go out and you got to market yourself, right? So you've got a structure that you can take people through. You know what your offer looks like. You know what you're charging. You want to market yourself. And the reason why I think what I'm about to suggest to you is the best marketing strategy in the world is because it doesn't require any technology. It doesn't require any ad spend. It doesn't require a lot of money. It doesn't require a big team. And it's what you enjoy doing. And that is actually sharing your knowledge and expertise. It's so simple. Your marketing is about giving presentations and talks, whether it's online or offline, sharing what you've discovered and giving others the opportunity to work with you. So when you share your story of transformation and what you learned, that is the social proof and the authority where people will say, I know this person can lead me to the outcome that I want. Right? The best marketing method is the one that shares your story and shares the reality of who you've become. And most importantly, it's a method that you enjoy. So if you love speaking, get on stages, host small group sessions or run webinars. If you love video, create content, do webinars that teaches one insight at a time. But it's about sharing your knowledge and expertise through presentations or talks that I've found for 99% of coaches, consultants, and experts to be the most effective strategy. Again, every time I step on a stage or I host a training or a webinar and I'm giving a presentation, I'm not selling, which removes a lot of resistance for me. I'm sharing my story of transformation. I'm sharing where I was and where I am now. I'm sharing a couple of things that I learned along the way. And then I'm opening up an invitation for those who may be further behind in their journey than I am to have me mentor them through the process. In all of my presentations, I talk about how I went from addiction and foreclosure to building a $40 million business and the framework that got me there. That's the story that people connect to because they see themselves in that story. And so when you teach your framework, you're not just proving your credibility, you're building trust. You're helping people experience a small transformation before they ever buy. Even if you look at today's episode, it's effectively a presentation, right? I'm sharing with you my story. I'm teaching you a framework around how to actually unlock the $1 million business idea that's inside of you. And I'm inviting you in to have a conversation with my team where we can actually help you put together a plan. And if we feel like there's an opportunity to support you at a deeper level, we'll talk to you about how to do that. This is one of the important things that I learned as I was trying to become a marketer and grow my business because I struggled for many, many years. My wife and I built this business together. And we tried doing the digital courses right off the bat. Somebody said we were one funnel away, and so we created these online marketing funnels. Somebody else told me to write a book. I had a book that nobody bought. Somebody else told me to launch a podcast. I had the first version of my podcast that nobody listened to. I was doing all these different things, trying to grow my social media following, and nothing seemed to work. And then one day, this light bulb went off on my head, and rather than actually listening to what the experts and the gurus were selling to me, I started paying attention to how they were selling to me. Do you get that? Instead of looking at what they were selling, I was looking at how they were selling to me, and every single one was using the same technique. They were sharing their story. They were sharing their frameworks. They were giving a presentation. They were doing a talk. They were educating me through the journey of their own life, and then they were selling me something on the back end. And so one of the things that I love about the conversation we're having today is the deep congruence of it. Like, I'm actually using in my business exactly what I'm teaching you. There's no switcheroo on the back end where I go, and now just go master AI and produce a bunch of crappy content and post it on your social media page to grow your business. I'm saying no. Exactly the way that I'm marketing and communicating and creating value for you is the strategy that I recommend for you, right? So this is the important part to understand. Once you've got your proven framework and you've figured out the structure of your offer, you've understood your story, you look at your stage of growth and determine whether you should be focusing on one-on-one versus maybe you're at a later stage where you're doing one-to-many or moving into digital courses, right? It's time to scale. And scaling isn't about doing more. It's about doing more good with the same energy. And the first opportunity for you to actually grow is to now start sharing your knowledge and expertise with others. As you do that and you begin to enroll clients, your clients will have wins. They'll test your system. They'll use your system. They'll have success stories. They'll give you testimonials. And now you gain confidence in your transformation. And now you can expand your delivery by adding even more structure to it. So it's important to understand, like, going from one-on-one to one-to-many as you grow your business doesn't mean less connection. It actually means creating environments where transformation happens collectively through community. And that's what's so exciting to me is that as we started launching our group coaching program, our digital courses, our live events, and many people began interacting around it, the community itself started to create value. So an important part of scale is not so much you having to do more, it's about leveraging your community to create even more value for the people who are in your programs. And then from here, if this is what you choose to do, you're able to start impacting not just tens, but hundreds or thousands or hundreds of thousands, and ultimately create a movement if that's what inspires you. But again, here's the key. Continue to scale your message. Keep your message simple. Keep your process clear and just follow a simple plan for starting, growing, and scaling your business. It all starts with your story and who you've become, but you can render that into this vehicle for creating value in the world, and the exchange for that value is prosperity and abundance. You know, there comes a point where your purpose outgrows your calendar. You can only do so many one-on-one sessions. You can only hold space for so many people before you realize the work isn't meant to stay small, and that's when it's time to scale your wisdom. Not by working harder, but by working smarter, and by turning your knowledge, the lessons, the breakthroughs, the frameworks that you've lived into digital products and programs that can reach people while you sleep. Because the truth is there are thousands of people out there right now praying for the exact version of you that exists after you've now done the work. And the moment you package that transformation, you become the answer to someone else's prayers. And that's the power of scaling with purpose. It's not about selling more, it's about serving more. You're multiplying your impact, not just your income. And if that's where you are right now, if you know it's time to start, grow, or scale your business, to scale your message, right? To build a business that's aligned, authentic, and free. As I mentioned before, we've got an opportunity for you. My team has done a rare thing where they've opened up some time on their calendars to have conversations with entrepreneurs just like you. If you're actually ready to start, grow, or scale right now, these calls are free. And on the call, we're going to help you get clear on where you are, where you want to go, and how to close the gap. And of course, if we can help, we'll talk about what that looks like. It's not a hard sell, just clarity and direction. You can click the link in the show notes, or you can go directly to davidbusinessplan.com, fill out the short questionnaire, schedule your call, and we can get you aligned with the business and life that you're meant to live and lead. Because when you get these principles working together, everything changes. Your business becomes a reflection of who you really are, and I can't wait to see the ripple effect of what you create next. I will see you on the other side. Thank you for allowing me to share this episode with you. My own lived experience hopefully has some value for you. I love you very much, and I will see you in the next episode.